Good morning, grade 7s, and welcome to your daily mathematics lesson with WorksheetCloud. Just a reminder that everything you need from us is on this one web page where you found this lesson, including activities for you to do after the lesson to consolidate the principles that you've worked on. I'd just like to also remind you of the email address that you can see on your screen right now, grade7@worksheetcloud.com. Please feel free to send me any questions or related queries, and I'll endeavor to answer them during the next lesson we will have after the long Easter weekend. So guys, this is your last lesson before Easter. Let's get up, have a piece of paper and a pen ready for you to write your thoughts down, and yeah, enjoy. Okay, so today we've got our warm-up, followed by our mental maths questions, little fractions recap, and then we're going to be looking at adding and subtracting fractions today as our main theme. Again, a recap from mostly grade 6 work, but it's important for us to refresh our memories on the principles of adding and subtracting fractions before we move into the remaining of the topic. And then your brain bender and challenge to finish off with. Okay, so your warm-up for today is as follows. Use your math skills to find the value of each symbol, and then the question mark at the end needs to be worked out. Okay, off you go. Okay, so remember that this is a pre-recorded lesson, so you are more than welcome to press pause if you have not solved the challenge yet, and I encourage you to do so before I carry on. So the idea with these, if you haven't been with us before, is to work out the value of each symbol, okay? And we know at the top that 24 is going to be equal to 8 plus 8, and the red card and the green card are actually equal. Now you might be asking me, how did I figure this out? And it's purely a case of putting numbers in, trying to see if they work throughout the whole puzzle or the whole challenge, and then seeing if your answer makes sense at the end. I had to redo this puzzle a few times, so don't think that it's the kind of thing that you can get on your first attempt. If you did, congratulations, but quite often the case you need to work through it more than once. Okay, the motorbike is 1 and the scooter is 8. So 1 times 8 equals 8. All right, then 1 is going to equal 8 divided by 8. Then 8 plus 2 is equal to 8 plus 2. Sorry, that should be an equal sign. And the last one is 8 divided by 8 multiplied by 8 divided by 1. Now your order of operations, you need to do the division sum first. Okay, so we do 8 divided by 8 first, and that equals 1. And then 8 divided by 1 equals 8. And then 1 multiplied by 8 is equal to 8. Okay, so congratulations if you worked through that one and you tried different numbers and different combinations. That's what we're looking at. In real life today, it's very rarely you encounter a problem and you figure it out off the top of your head. You need to work through things to solve them. So well done on that, guys. Okay. These are your mental maths questions for today. And again, I've got them for you on the Google Jamboard so that we can work them out together. Okay, so I remind you to press pause if you need to. Okay, so the first one, if 80 plus b equals 60 times 2, then what does b equal? So the first thing you need to figure out is what is the 60 times 2? That's 120. So we know that it's 80 plus 40 equals 120. So b is equal to 120. Okay? The highest common factor of 42 and 63. So a little bit of a recap for you. So if I just wrote down the factors of 42, you're going to get 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 14, 21, and 42. And of 63, you're going to have 1, 3, 7, 9, 21, and 63. And there you can see the highest common factor is going to be equal to 21. So remember, we're looking for the highest number that occurs in both sets. Okay, next question. 8 multiplied by 4 divided by 16 multiplied by 4. So first we need to do the brackets. So 8 multiplied by 4 is 32. Divided by 16 divided by 4 is 4. And we know that 32 divided by 4 is 8. 126 divided by 6. I'm going to just do it down here. Okay, so you can do this in the normal short division method, or you can split 126 up. So I just recognize that 120 can be divided by 6 20 times. That's a division sign. Okay, and then 6, let me write that again actually. 6 can be divided by 6 once, and then if I add those two together, it gives me 21. Remember, it's always good to check, is 21 multiplied by 6 equal 126? We know 20 multiplied by 6 is 120, and 1 multiplied by 6 is 6. So when we add them together, we get 126. So therefore, we know we are correct. Okay, I'm just going to clear some space just to work out the last question for you. And the last question says, is 4,588 divisible by 8? And instead of me going to work out the whole sum, because it's purely a yes or no answer, I need to use the divisibility rule for 8. Otherwise, it could take me a couple minutes to work it out. And remember, the divisibility rule for 8 is, do the last 3 numbers, are they divisible by 8? And if you worked out 588 divided by 8, it's not going to give you the correct answer. Okay, the actual answer of 4,588 is 573,5. Okay, but all you needed to do was work out the 588 divided by 8. Okay, and there are a couple of different ways that you can do that. You could have done that in your short division method. Okay, and this is just one method that I'm going to show you today. Okay, 8 doesn't go into the 5, so we put a 0 up there. 8 doesn't go into 58. 8 goes into 56 7 times with 2 left over. And 8 goes into 28 3 times, and it's left with a remainder of 4. Okay, so that is our mental maths questions for today. Okay, so today we're going to have a look at adding and subtracting fractions. Okay, so the first thing I want you to remember quickly as a recap is the top number is the numerator, the bottom number is the denominator, and when we add or subtract fractions with the same denominator, it's relatively straightforward. All we do is we add or subtract the numerators. Okay, so here we've got two sums, two addition fraction sums, and both of them have the same denominator. So if you look at 3/8, and you can see that the top square is divided into 8 blocks. So if we've got 3/8 plus 4/8, then you can see that 7 blocks have been shaded, and it's 7 out of 8, or sorry, 7/8 that have been shaded. Okay, so when the denominators are the same, I add the numerators and keep the same denominators. The bottom block has been divided into 12 squares because the denominator is 12, and here the numerators just need to be added, and the answer is kept over the same denominator. So 7 plus 4 is 11, and the denominator is 12, so 11/12. So just to recap there, if the denominators are the same, we add the numerators and we keep it on over the same denominator. Okay, so adding and subtracting fractions with different denominators can be slightly more complicated. So here you'll see the term lowest common multiple pops up, and that's one of the reasons we looked at it a couple lessons ago, because it was going to come up in fractions. So remember, the lowest common multiple of 2 or more numbers is the smallest number that happens in each of the sets. Okay. Remember, if you missed that lesson, or if you want to recap that lesson, go back onto this website, have a look at previous lessons, and you should be able to find the video lesson dealing with factors, multiples, lowest common multiples, and highest common factors. Okay, so if I asked you to find the lowest common multiples of these numbers, and this is just a quick recap. Okay, for 3 and 4, there are my multiples of 3 and 4 working vertically, and you can see that the number 12 is the lowest number that occurs in both sets, so therefore the LCM of 3 and 4 is 12. Okay, for 5 and 20, the multiples of there vertically, and there is the lowest common multiple of 5 and 20. It is indeed 20. And the multiples of 3 and 8 are listed, and if you go through those two lists, you'll see that 24 is the lowest number that occurs in both sets. Okay, so very important for you to know your multiplication tables, as they become really important when working with fractions. Okay, so here's an example for you to do. 2/3 plus 1/4. I need to make the denominators the same. So there I have a block divided into thirds, and I will color in 2 of those thirds because that's what the fraction tells me to do. And there I have a block divided into quarters because the denominator tells me to do that, and I've shaded in 1 because that's what the numerator says. Okay, but then I need to work out my multiples of 3 and 4 to get the lowest common multiple, and there you can see it's 12. All right, so now I know that my denominator needs to be turned into 12. All right, and how do I do that? Okay, I need to multiply the 3 by 4, and if I multiply the 3 by 4, I must multiply the 2 by 4, so that's how I get 8/12. Okay, and you can see now that the top block has indeed been changed into 12, and 8 of those blocks have been shaded in. And you can see now the block on the right has also been changed into 12s because I need the denominators to be the same. And if I multiply the 4 by 3 to get 12, I must do the same to the 1. And 1 times 3 is 3. So now all I need to do is add the numerators because my denominators are the same. And if I add the 8/12 plus the 3/12, there you can see I get 11/12. Okay, right, let's have a look at another example in case you didn't get that first one. So you should be saying to yourself right now, what is the lowest common multiple of 8 and 5? Because the denominators are not the same. Okay, so there's the graphic for you. Okay, just so that you can kind of see what we're working with. The multiples of 5 and 8 are listed, and your lowest common multiple is 40. So your denominator then becomes 40, and the diagrams will be converted into blocks of 40. So 8 times 5 is 40, which means 2 times 8 is 16. So remember 2/5 and 16/40 are equivalent as the arrow indicates. And the fraction on the right hand side, to get to 40, I multiply by 5. And I must multiply the 3 by 5 to get to 15. Okay, and now the 16 add the 15 is going to give me your 31/40. Okay, one last example, and I'll go through this not quickly, but there are my multiples of 4 and 6. That's 12. So by now you should realize that the denominators need to be 12, and to get to 12 I multiply the 4 by the 3 and therefore multiply the numerator by 3. So 3 times 3 is 9, and on the right hand side I multiply the 6 by 2 to get 12, so I must multiply the 1 by 2 to get 2. Okay, so there is my diagram divided up into 12 blocks, and 9 plus 2 is 11. Okay, great. Okay, so here's some examples for you to work through. There's your first one. And I will work through the Jamboard with you just to show you one worked example. So if we go back to that question and have a look, it was 5/8 plus 1/3. Don't worry that the answers are there. The answers aren't the important part right now. The process is the important part right now. Okay, so if you understand the process, the answer will look after itself. Okay, so I need to change 8 and 3 into the same denominator. So my 8 times table is going to be 8, 16, 24, 32, and I know my times table, so I realize that that's as far as I need to go for the 8. The 3 might be a little bit longer, and there's 24, and we know that 24 is going to be your lowest common multiple. Okay, so now I know that I need to change my 8 into 24, and to do that I multiply by 3. So I must do the same to the numerator. So, sorry, not 5, 3. So now I've got 15/24. I must multiply the 3 by the 8 to get to 24, so that my denominators are the same. Okay, like that. So now all I need to do is add the 15 and the 8, and my answer is going to be 23/24. Okay, so that's a worked example for you, and that's the process. So let's go back to our screen and see what they have to say to us. So 5/8 plus 1/3, and that's exactly what we worked out on the previous page. So there's one for you to do. Remember, press pause if you if I'm going to start working it out a little bit too early. Try work it out by yourself and then crack on. Okay, so I need to look for the lowest common multiple of 5 and 4, and that is indeed 20. And then 5 times 4 is 20, so 2 times 4 is 8, and 4 times 5 is 20, so 1 times 5 is 5. Then just add the two numerators together and the same denominator, and you get 13/20. Okay, your next example, 1/12 plus 3/4. The lowest common denominator there is 12. So all I need to do there is change the 3/4 to 9/12. So it's 1 plus 9, and that is equal to 10/12. And then it's always a really good habit for you to give your answer in a simplified version. Okay, so 10/12 simplified, I need to divide both numbers by 2 because they're both even. 10 divided by 2 is 5, and 12 divided by 2 is 6. Okay, we go on to subtraction, and subtraction is exactly the same as addition when it comes to converting the denominators. You still write down the multiples to find the lowest common multiple, and there it is, 12. And that's pretty much all you need to do. And the only difference is we are now subtracting the numerators, and your answer, and your answer there should be 5 over 12. Okay, so one more example. 2/5 minus 3/8. Find the lowest common multiple of 5 and 8. Okay, identify them, convert the fractions to the lowest common multiple, and then whatever you do to the denominator, do to the numerator, and the same with the other side. And now you'll have 16 over 40 minus 15 over 40, which gives you the 1 over 40. Okay, remember the process is the most important part right now. Okay, so just 3 more examples for you. We know that the lowest common multiple of 8 and 3 is going to be 24. And then when I convert the numerators, I should have 15 minus 8, and that's going to give me 7 over 24. Question 2, remember to pause and give it a shot by yourself before you look for the answer. The lowest common multiple of 5 and 4 is indeed 20. Then I need to change my numerators the same way I changed my denominators, and I get 3 over 20. And your last question, 3/4 minus 1 over 12. The denominator should be 12. So I only need to change 3/4, and I do that by multiplying by 3. And I subtract the 1, and I get 8 over 12, which when simplified is equal to 2 over 3. And my highest common factor that goes into 8 and 12 is 4. So 8 divided by 4 is 2, and 12 divided by 4 is 3. Okay, so that's addition and subtraction of fractions for today. Go back and have another look if you need to revise those principles. From our next lesson on, we'll be delving into some more interesting aspects of fractions. So please make sure you understand those principles we've spoken about today and previous days. Guys, here's your finisher for today. You are required to tell me what the value of the computer mouse is over here, the value of the loudspeaker, the paper airplane, the earphones, the tablet, the hourglass, and the light bulb. And remember, you do this through multiplication. So I'll just get it up onto the Jamboard quickly. Okay, there it is there. Okay, so if I just drew the square again, okay, there it is, and I just put the numbers in that are there already. You guys should be working this out as I do this. Okay, so remember to press pause if you haven't finished it. Challenge yourself to do it and then see if your answers are correct. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do the 6 times the 3 to give me 18. Then I'm going to do the same 6 times the 4 to give me 24. And the same 6 times the 5 to give me 30. Okay. Now I know that the light bulb over here is going to be 8 because 8 times 4, this 4 over here, gives me this 32. Okay, so then I'm going to do 8 times 3 for 24 in this block, and 8 times this 5 for 40 in this block. Okay, I know that the paper aeroplane is 30 from over here. So what times this 3 is going to give me 30, and that is 10. So 10 times 4 must be 40, and 10 times 5 must be 50. Okay, guys, I hope you worked through that and you got that answer by yourself. Well done if you did. If you didn't, then I would encourage you to next time really give it a good shot. Guys, that's all we have time for today. Please remember to send me your questions at grade7@worksheetcloud.com. Have a really, really good Easter. Hope the Easter Bunny spoils you. I know you grade 7 still believe in it. Well, you definitely believe in the sweets and chocolates that he brings, so you might as well stay as young as you can and believe in the bunny until you get to the college. Guys, have a great weekend. Keep safe and all the best. Cheers.